Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Unpontificated. Today, we're going to engage with a interview that Power and Politics did with Canada's Minister of Energy and Natural Resources, Tim Hodgson. I'm going to call him Tim Dodgson because I've never seen a masterclass in dodging the question as the minister did in this interview. Now, this interview is being done by Catherine Cullen, not Mr. Cochrane, by Catherine Cullen, and she does actually a pretty good job on pushing him to answer questions. Actually, asks him some pretty tough questions, and this is questions related to the pipeline that Mark Carney and Danielle Smith have announced just this past week. And great pipelines. We want more pipelines, get our stuff out there. But remember, Mark Carney said no pipeline without private money, that without the private sector paying for it. And it looks like we are going to be in the hook for this pipeline. 90% of it at least. And then even the 10%, we're not even sure if this company is going to pay for it or not. They have not really committed, but again, MOUs, just MOUs. Anyway, listen to this interview. I think it's a good interview, but for the dodging that Mr. Tim Dodgson does throughout, it's quite a masterclass.
Well, Alberta has formally proposed an oil pipeline to the southwest coast of British Columbia, and despite previous promises or comments from the federal government, it's looking like it could be significantly funded by taxpayer dollars.
Canada and Alberta will be equal partners in this project. The Trans Mountain Corporation will plan and construct the pipeline.
Alberta Premier Danielle Smith says the details of funding and how much it could cost Canadians to help foot the bill have not yet been finalized. But Alberta's pitch does note that the pipeline could cost an estimated $35 to $43 billion. I'm joined by Minister of Energy and Natural Resources, Tim Hodgson. Hey there, Minister. Thank you for making the time.
Great to do this.
The initial indications about this pipeline were it seemed that it was going to be built with private money. Prime Minister Carney said in November, if there's not a private sector proponent, there won't be a pipeline. Now it seems the vast majority of this, perhaps 90%, is going to be public money. If the bar here, your own bar for doing this with private financing, hasn't been met, why are you moving forward with the project?
So I think, Catherine, Canadians understand that there are four things about this project that why it needs to go forward. The first is national security. I think the announcement on July 1st that the U.S. doesn't want to move forward with CUSMA was pretty clear. The old world that we were involved in no longer exists. We need to look after ourselves. We need to do more for ourselves than anyone can take away for us. This is
Everyone is using that Carney line, the old world no longer exists. And let's not forget, okay, the US doesn't want to move forward with renegotiating CUSMA. Okay, so CUSMA will still be on play. We're just going to have to look at it every year, is what they want to do, which I don't think is good for Canada. We do want to have stability and have assurance about the investment environment in Canada. So this every year thing is not good for Canada, but it is what it is.
Is part of building for ourselves, building an autonomy for ourselves going forward. The second is economic prosperity. This project is the most significant economic opportunity in the country today. It is the largest generator of GDP of any project we're looking at. It's $16 billion a year for the people of Canada that pays for healthcare, that pays for dental care, which pays for childcare, which pays for subsidized post-secondary education at a time when affordability is on everybody's mind. Thirdly, it brings Alberta into the fold with the rest of Canada from a sustainability standpoint. A year ago, we were not seeing eye to eye with the province of Alberta. Today, we have agreement on world-leading methane reduction. We have agreement on how we build carbon markets going forward, and we build the single biggest carbon capture and storage project in the world. Canada is a world leader in clean tech with this project going forward. And fourth, and really importantly, as I'm sitting here in Alberta, is national unity. Albertans want to know there's a place for them in Canada going forward. We have found a path through the MOU, through the integration agreement, and through this part of that bigger package to show Alberta there is a good place for them in Canada. And for all those reasons, we need to engage with the world the way it is, not as we wish it to be. And we're going to build this project.
Engage with the world the way it is, not as we wish it to be. Another Carney tagline. Now, this carbon capture nonsense really is just annoying. And the reason why I think, yes, Canada is a world leader in carbon capture technology or whatever, but we're getting broke by it. We're broke. It's not leading us into economic prosperity. The countries that are world leaders in environmental destruction, India and China, don't care about carbon capture, right? I mean, yes, China is definitely leading in electric vehicles and those kind of things, and in green technology, but they're still using coal. They're still, doing all this stuff. India is a leader. I think that second in pollution, if not first. Anyway, I'll put something in there. I'll look it up and write a note. But that's 1, 2 in pollution. Canada is like what, 0.2% polluter, and we're broke. We're breaking this country with this carbon nonsense. Oh, it's just annoying what we're doing to ourselves. But anyway, like I said, I like the fact let's get this pipeline built. Let's get her done.
And yet you are the ones, it was the federal government and Alberta who wrote in this MOU construction of one or more private sector constructed pipelines. That's the language that you folks chose. There's no mention of public funds. Did you know then that the lion's share of this was going to be public money?
So look, as we look at this, we're focused on attracting private sector capital to this. That's what we've done. We've attracted Pembina to this. I think when we first started, people were worried about whether this would be a good investment. What I can tell you today is we've been approached many times about selling the Trans Mountain Pipeline. The Trans Mountain Pipeline is a moneymaker. It's one of the best assets that this country has. It is generating oodles of cash. It is full. People said it wouldn't be full. It is full. It is generating oodles of cash. And that cash is paying for our daycare. It's paying for our healthcare. It's paying for our subsidized post-secondary education. It's paying for the school lunch programs that Canadians want.
But Minister...
Yeah, hold on there, Hodgson. Let's look here at... Let's look at AI overview here, Google AI, and what it says about the Trans Mountain expansion. Yes, the TMX Mountain, the Trans Mountain expansion pipeline generates operating revenue, reporting profits like the 148 million in early 2025. However, whether it is financially viable for Canadian taxpayers remains highly debated because the 34 billion construction costs, 34 billion construction costs. This other pipeline, it could be up to 43 billion. Okay, guys? 34 billion construction costs far exceed the toll revenues collected from oil companies. So while it's reporting 148 million, we'll still have to pay back the 34 billion construction costs. While the operation brings in money, a substantial portion of the project's capital debt remains unrecovered. The pipeline's financial picture features a few key dynamics. High operating revenues, TMX expanded capacity allows Canadian oil producers to export to global markets, boosting overall oil patch revenues by an estimated 12.6 billion and increased tax and royalty income for governments. Okay, so great. But unrecovered construction costs. The pipeline costs Canadian taxpayers 34 billion to build, but long-term shipping contracts signed with oil companies only cover a fraction of this capital. Critics argue this shortfall effectively subsidizes the oil industry at the expense of taxpayers. So we're still paying for the TMX. The Canadian government owns the pipeline but plans to sell it to recoup public investment. This potential sale is complicated by the gap between what it costs to build and lower rates shippers pay to move their oil. Here in Canada, we ship our oil out at a discount to the States and to other players around the world. It's just a tough go. And well, we'll see what this pipeline, if it ever does get built, we'll see.
Sir, I'm going to interrupt because it doesn't answer the question. And the question is, when you put the MOU out, did you realize this was going to be mostly public money?
Dodge.
So what we wanted to make sure was we attracted a private sector proponent, and that's what we've done. We've got a private sector proponent who's saying, hey, we think this is a good opportunity. We're going to be there. The fact that we're on the southern route, which is the route that TMX knows, makes it only logical that the TMX, the Trans Mountain Corporation, should be involved. The new line will mirror the existing line they operate, and so they're in the best position to be part of this.
Okay, I want you to help me a bit here with I want to just stay on public money for a bit longer because it's such a substantial sum, sir. In Alberta's, the proposition that they put forward to you folks, they suggest the pipeline, in order to build it, will cost between $35 billion and $43 billion to build. Pembina's in for 10% right now. The remainder, it seems to me, is federal and Alberta money split in half. So what are we talking here about federal contributions? Somewhere between, what, $50 and $20 billion?
So you just used the numbers 33 billion. I just told you that this project will generate $16 billion of GDP a year. 16 billion a year.
Yep.
The Trans Mountain Pipeline is highly profitable.
Right.
I am quite comfortable that this is a good investment for Canadian taxpayers, and it's part of that bigger package that we talked about, where we're getting the methane regs, where we're getting new carbon markets, where we're getting the biggest carbon capture and storage, and where we now have an agreement on how to build nuclear.
But Minister, no one has said what the federal investment is. I hear you about the payoff. I just want to understand, and I think it's a pretty basic question, how many federal dollars roughly you expect to invest. Is it $15 to $20 billion? Is there some other factor that plays into this?
Dodge.
So I don't have the numbers in front of me right now, Catherine, so I don't want to make numbers up. But the previous pipeline cost in the $30 billion to $40 billion range, that's a reasonable thing to look at.
Pembina says...
At those...
Pardon me, sir. I didn't mean to interrupt there. I do want to ask you, though, but you talk about the private sector of this. Pembina says it has tentatively, essentially, signed on with this 10% stake. I look at the language in their news release, very cautious. They point out the deal is non-binding. They still need to evaluate participation. There are conditions that have to be met. Again, and when we try to understand the future of this project, is there a world, like, does the pipeline still go ahead if they don't sign on to this in the long run?
Dodge.
So we are moving at speeds we haven't moved at in generations, as the Prime Minister said. We need to do that. The world is in a difficult place. We just saw on July 1st that the Americans say they don't want to renew CUSMA. We're in the middle of a global energy crisis where our allies are running out of natural resources and energy. They desperately want our energy. We need to move forward. This is an opportunity to move forward in a way that addresses national security. It's a way that addresses national prosperity. It's a way to address sustainability and have a functioning carbon market and a Alberta that's in Canada And it's a way to move forward at a time where national
So
unity
yes,
is really important.
will you move
I'm interested
forward
in what you said. You
without
brought up
Pembina?
CUSMA twice now. You would say to Canadians explicitly that part of the reason to go forward with this pipeline is because the Americans don't want to renew CUSMA?
Absolutely.
Okay.
When we only have one customer for our oil and we sell that oil at a discount to world markets because we only have one customer, and that customer is doing things that are weaponizing our trade against us, the way you respond is you create the ability to sell to the rest of the world.
Okay.
Today, most of the oil that's going through the TMX pipeline is sold to our allies in Asia. We need to show our ally to the south of us that we have alternatives.
Okay.
We need to be able to earn a world price for our oil. When we sell at a discount to the Americans, we are losing billions of dollars that we could be spending on healthcare, that we could be spending on dental care, that we could be spending on daycare, that we could be spending on our school lunch programs. I think Canadians expect us to get the best price for our resources so we can provide the services Canadians want. And if we're going to do that, we need to get a pipeline built to the coast.
Your former cabinet
Northern
colleague, Stephen
Gateway
Guilbeault,
won't
would be
build.
familiar with all of those arguments. He is still a sitting Liberal MP. In fact, we're going to talk to him in a few minutes. He reacted to news of this pipeline by saying, in part, another project will be funded by taxpayers, even as oil companies are expected to earn $60 billion in profits this year. All of this is happening as we are seeing heat waves hitting numerous corners of the globe, and as northern Quebec is seeing 4 times the number of forest fires we would normally have at this time of year. What do you say to Mr. Guilbeault?
I respect Stephen. He's a friend. We have a different view on how we're going to get to net zero. The Prime Minister has said we're going to build our way to net zero, not shrink and prohibit our way to net zero. We're doing that by building the largest carbon capture and storage project in the world. We're doing that by creating functioning carbon markets that we did not have before under the old plan. We're doing that by announcing an electricity strategy, which is doubling our clean generating electric grid, which will reduce emissions. We're doing that by adding more nuclear to the baseload power mix. We're doing that by adding new investment in transmission so we can add more renewables to the grid. We're going to grow our way to net zero, not shrink our way to net zero. And telling Canadians that they can't do things at a time where national unity is in play isn't the way that we build a strong Canada.
You talk about the environmental record. Earlier this week, the Prime Minister, or the environmental aspirations, I suppose I should say, the Prime Minister said earlier this week in that forward guidance video that as part of Canada's push to be an energy superpower, Canada's emissions are going to rise in the next few years. Which climate targets are we going to miss, sir?
We're focused on 2050. The Prime Minister's been very clear. We're going to get to net zero by 2050.
Anything before that? Not in play then?
We're focused on getting to 2050. That's what we're focused on.
Okay. Minister Tim Hodgson, thank you very much for your time today. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Well, there you have it. Tim Hodgson certainly dodged a lot of questions. Look, guys, I'm for more pipelines. I'm for getting our stuff out there. I think the Northern Gateway pipeline is a better pipeline to get our stuff to China. The fact that the U.S. has kind of hijacked the Venezuelan oil reserves, let me go with that, which is similar to ours there in Alberta, because it's the heavy stuff that the U.S. needs for their refineries. If the U.S. is not going to go to Venezuela and get theirs, and is not going to use ours because they don't need to per se, then yeah, you've got to get our stuff out there. We got to get the new pipeline built. We got to get Northern Gateway built. We got to get the stuff to the east built, and go to the new markets now. That's what we got to do. Maybe put some more refineries in there to refine our heavy stuff, and just get her done. What was I listening to where the guy said that in the UAE, in Dubai and Abu Dhabi, they're building a new pipeline because of what's going on in the war. Oh yeah, because the Strait of Hormuz is closing and opening, it's not going to be reliable. They're going to build a new pipeline themselves to get their oil out, which is even more oil than ours, to get UAE's oil out, and they're going to have that pipeline built in a year. None of this red tape nonsense, relying on this, relying on that. It's just crazy, the red tape that we have in this country to get things done. It's just bankrupting us. And you just got to get rid of it. Get rid of all that red tape so that private companies can just come in and do their thing. Can we do that? Can we? Anyway, what do you guys think of Mr. Hodgson? What do you think of what he said? What do you think of what Mark Carney and Danielle Smith? And is this pipeline going to get built? Do you think it will? And how long is it going to take to get done, to get finished and get oil flowing through it? Let me know in the comments. Please like and subscribe. I really do appreciate some of you engaging with my last video. It was really good engagement there. And yeah, like and subscribe. Appreciate it. Thank you. See you next time.